What's up, you guys? Void here, coming back at you all. Happy New Year! We have, yet again, some more spoilers for Rivals of Ixalan, and we have a pretty good one here. Awesome Merfolk Mythic, but we're going to get to that last. We're not going to go over any commons, we got a few, but for the most part, they're just going to be limited playable. We do see a pretty cool uncommon. Enter the unknown 1 green mana sorcery. Target creature you control explores. So as it was before, you reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land, you put it into your hand. If it's not a land, you either put it on top or put it into your graveyard and you put a +1/+1 counter on the creature that's exploring. And you also get to play an additional land this turn. So if there's any sort of deck built around the explorer mechanic, I think this would be an interesting inclusion. And then next we have Tendershoot Dryad, a 5 mana green 2/2 Dryad creature with Ascend. So if you're unfamiliar, Ascend is if you control 10 or more permanents, you get the city's blessing. You get this little emblem, and sort of all the cards that can interact with the city's blessing, they give you better things if you have the city's blessing. This one gives you a 1/1 green sapperling creature token at the beginning of each upkeep, so this is also your opponent's too. That's pretty cool, because if you have the city's blessing, your sapperling creatures get +2/+2, although I don't know how many sapperling interactions there are going to be aside from just this card, so I don't know if it's going to see much play in standard. It might see some commander play. There are some sapperling decks. Overall, I think that's pretty cool. Then next we have Awakened Amalgamation. I'll give you a little translation here. A 4 mana colorless golem creature with power and toughness equal to the number of lands you control with different names. So that's pretty cool. I could definitely see this in Commander. Some decks like having creatures with insane power and toughness for the value that you get out of them. And there are a lot of different lands with different names that you can play in Commander, so that's also really cool. While I wouldn't say it's Tarmogoyf level of value for the mana that you put into it, I think it could see some play in Standard. There are definitely a lot of different lands to choose from. And the fact that it's colorless means that it's a bit more flexible. Overall, I think it's interesting. And then we have another flip card here, Journey to Eternity, a 3 mana legendary aura in Golgari colors. When enchanted creature dies, return it to the battlefield under your control, and then return Journey to Eternity to the battlefield transformed under your control as well. So when it transforms into is Atzal, Cave of Eternity. It can tap to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, but also has another ability. You can pay the 5 mana and tap it, so it's more like 6 mana, to return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. That is actually quite interesting. I think that's pretty good. Definitely for Commander, 6 mana isn't too much to bring the best creature that you can back from your graveyard to the battlefield. Definitely has some playability, though. I think it's interesting enough to brew. Think about what decks it could work out well in. And then the next card we get is a 6 mana red enchantment, Form of the Dinosaur. When it enters the battlefield, your life total becomes 15. Don't know how good that's going to be for Standard, probably not. At the beginning of your upkeep, Form of the Dinosaur deals 15 damage to target creature an opponent controls, and that creature deals damage equal to its power to you. So, while it is interesting removal, I think there are better cards to work with. I mean, definitely with red, we have Sunbird's Invocation, which a lot of people, they love that card, they're experimenting with it. While I don't think this card is completely useless, it's very risky, and usually very risky cards, unless the upside is consistent removal, which this does give you consistent removal. It also is incredibly risky, and you have to deal the 15 to a creature, so potentially setting you down to 15 life and then killing off creatures they're going to be dealing damage is incredibly risky, but I think it's an interesting card. Now we get on to the final spoiler here. This one is incredible. The mythic Kumena, Tyrant of Orazca, 3 mana Simic, 2/4 Merfolk Shaman. It's a legendary creature, and he has 3 pretty cool activated abilities. The first one is you can tap another untapped Merfolk you control to basically make him unblockable until end of turn, which I think that's pretty decent. It's not the most interesting ability, but if you have some equipment, some auras that you can put on him to make him more deadly, maybe even give him Infect, that's never a bad thing, but it's probably the least appealing ability of the 3. The second one is tap 3 untap Merfolk you control to draw a card. So, big comparison here to Azami Lady of Scrolls. She is way better than this, but you have to put into consideration that Merfolk don't necessarily have a decent legendary. So any form of card draw consistency that you can get out of your Merfolk is pretty good, even if it does require you to tap down 3 instead of just 1 wizard. And his last ability is tap 5 untapped Merfolk you control to put a +1/+1 counter on each merfolk you control. So you can already see how that could get out of hand. I absolutely love this guy. If you don't already know in the lore, he's sort of one of the betrayers of Tishana and her followers. They're supposed to be protectors of the lost city of Orazca. Instead of trying to seek out the powers that lie within, they're just supposed to safeguard it from all intruders, which Kumena decides to go and seek out the power for himself. So a very interesting character in the lore so far, and the artwork looks pretty cool. I definitely like him as a legendary. And just a quick little message to all my patrons here. You might want to wait till probably next week or whenever we finish up all the spoilers for Rivals. That way, if there's any legendary that you like from the set, you can ask me this month, and I'll do a deck tech. Regardless of whether or not you ask me to do Kumena, I'm going to do a Kumena deck tech. This guy just looks fantastic, and he's the merfolk legendary that we've been looking for. I know Kapala from the last set was pretty good, pretty defensive, and Tishana is also okay, but neither of which really give that consistency or give that potential to merfolk that we've been looking for. Kumena does it, and we have plenty of merfolk within Simic colors to make that deck viable. So anyway guys, hope you enjoyed these spoilers. I absolutely am in love with Kumena. I think he's a fantastic merfolk legendary, awesome commander option. Let me know what you think about him. Let me know what you think about the other cards, their other playability, whether it's in standard or commander. Anyway, you guys have a wonderful day. Void here signing off.